Hello, this one will be about Act 2. So, I want to talk about several things in this video, and it will be the way Bungie has balanced the sandbox for next season. I mainly care about PvP, so this is my thoughts and opinions. So, a few notes before I reading what changes, I will say some of the problems that I currently have with the current sandbox. Currently, I think Prismatic is too powerful in a way where I think it shouldn't even be enabled in PvP. That's my personal opinion, and that's because I think it's just completely off the rails for how you can even balance this in the game. Now we have exotics like Knucklehead Radar, the class items, which ties into Prismatic again, but mostly I do not have an issue with anything. I think Alpha Lupi is really strong with thrusters, but that's mainly because you heal your allies while you also heal yourself. Before it used to only be barricades, but that has changed. I think pulse rifles are way too overtuned for the sandbox, and that includes bygones with high ground, that's a outliner, 2 bursts, and 340s. I think explosive payload should be nerfed, or changed to how it was when March 5th dropped with 4 tapping, and I think in general SMGs need a slight buff, in any sense whatsoever, or rebalance other weapons so they will finally be usable in the meta. Now, the reason I specifically mention SMGs is because 720 autos do the same thing as 720 SMGs but kill faster. 600 RPM precision frame SMGs do the same thing as 600 RPM auto rifles but have less range. So we come to an issue where they literally are completely useless for most things, and sure, you shouldn't need to worry about this and that, but you have weapons like slugs and fusions and pellets with having insane handling now because of a perk called Closing Time, which has never been an issue to this level as we've ever seen. Now here's an interesting picture. When you look at the high skill primary weapon meta from last month, we see that Rose, Elsie's, Graviton, and Bygones have distanced themselves from the rest of the sandbox pack. Bygones is almost egregiously out of band thanks to almost entirely to the high ground perk, which we are talking at a first swing to addressing below. We will continue to keep an eye on other top performers, but the current things that most of these weapons are very close to upper end of what we want primary weapons to be able to do in the current roles, and we're more interested in bringing other options up to meet them and then hammering these options down by more than small amounts. This is a really concerning part in my book because what they're basically saying is instead of nerfing the top end of the pack, they want to boost everything to become the same as these, meaning everything will just get power crept and power crept and power crept until until primary weapons become special essentially. If my Rose, for very obvious reasons, it's the best handgun in the game and the most used primary in the game. Bygones is by far the strongest pulse rifle at the moment because you simply just need to stand higher to 2 burst someone at a 0.6 time to kill. Elsie's rifle and Graviton Lance. Now, I do not know the time to kill of 2 bursts, but they are incredibly fast compared to what they used to, because of the increased fire rate, and Elsie's rifle just have a 0.67 time to kill because of how 340s work. This includes every 340 in the game, by the way. It's not just Elsie's rifle. I have heard arguments saying, without Headseeker and Zen Moment they become very bad, but the problem is, even if they, nerfed the stats on Elsie's, it wouldn't really change anything whatsoever. And I feel like going for the 0.67 time to kill for most weapons is going to be a bad idea. You saw what happened when everyone was rocking Immortal. You guess what time to kill that gun had? The same times as Elsie's rifle. And Elsie's is not like an outliner, maybe stat-wise because it has the old no time to explain stats with the old model and probably the old aim assist and everything in between. The only difference is it has better perks, and it's a legendary weapon, so it basically is a legendary version of No Time without the exotic trait, but better, style-wise. Because they have nerfed no time several times already. But a lot of things that I hear is that you can't really use these weapons close up because zoom levels, or whatever the excuse might be to use pulse rifles up close. It's not like they are bad to use up close, and if we're gonna bring up the zoom factor, you can bring up weapons like Cold Denial. So the thing about Cold Denial, which makes it a very big outliner in the meta, and if you didn't pick up the Godroll, you kind of missed out on an opportunity of your lifetime, is the fact that it has 14 zoom. And that make it incredibly strong for being close up, because it's going to have the same zoom as your normal hand cannon. Compared to Elsie's, which has 17 zoom, it's going to feel like night and day when you're close up with something like Cold Denial over Elsie's. Even though Elsie's might have better stats overall, those stats are not going to make or break a gunfight when you're close up compared to zoom. And I think the major problem with these and the forgiveness that we're getting is with Headseeker. Even though No Time to Explain right now is extremely powerful in the sandbox, even without the exotic trait procced, it feels incredibly easy to two-burst someone. It's not like the time to kill is hard or anything. Just because you have to hit 6 headshots in a row doesn't really change a lot, in my opinion, of course. And even with the nerf, quote-unquote, so you need to hit all 6 headshots, I feel like nothing has completely changed. You have perks that you can pair up with the Zen Moment, which gives you visual flinch resist and less visual shake when you get hit by things, making it way easier to be able to kill someone through a gunfight, even if you're getting nuked by explosive payload. So Zen Moment is a problem by itself with Headseeker compared to it, making it basically unbeatable in any gunfights. Now, Rose's main issue for being the #1 hand cannon or #1 weapon essay per use rate is just the fact that it has probably the best stats for any weapon in the game, especially 140s, giving you plus 20 in mobility because it's a lightweight frame. It also has the best perk combo on a hand cannon, which is Slide Shot Explosive Payload. Explosive payload is a whole nother issue, which I talked about earlier, and it just makes it uncompetable in the hand cannon space for 140s because there's literally no reason to go for anything else. None. And also, if you really like getting hit by explosive payload, next week Banshee will be selling this exact role. So I hope you love getting flinched, or get your hands on a Zen Moment Elsie's. So there is that. Graviton Lance just instantly kills supers because of its insanely good roll, because it has Vorpal Weapon if you don't know, so whenever you're fighting a super, it will actually insta-kill the super. I have been killed, feels like optimal time to kill in my Behemoth by Graviton Lance. No debuffs, no damage buffs, just pure grav. He kills me in 3 bursts, or 4 bursts, whatever it might be, which is incredibly fast because it shoots incredibly fast. Kvastov is basically a long-range SMG. Any 600 RPM SMG cannot compete because the base value of Kvastov is higher than an SMG. And that should tell you a lot when you compare it to something like Unending Tempest or Shayura's Wrath. It basically means if you use those weapons, you should really just put on Kvastov, because this thing does more damage, it hits harder, it has more range, and it has so much better stats overall. The only difference is you won't be able to pair this with PKs, but who cares anyway because everyone's sitting in the back of the map. Hawkmoon has probably one of the best exotic perks in the game for slow playing rounds. Ace of Spades has one of the best exotic traits for kill sprees. Thorn too, making these weapons very high use rate. Now, of course, there's probably more weapons here because they can't list everything else. You see all the dots for different weapons, and everything goes around this line right here, which should really tell you a lot. This is weapons in PvP, by the way. And what you're going to notice is the gap between these are so insane. And I think if the 4 best weapons, or let's go with 5 best weapons, are 3 pulse rifles and 2 hand cannons, then, you know, I think there's something. 2 of them being the same frame, 1 of them being exotic, 1 of them being legendary, and all the pulse rifles are different frames. But if there's this big amount of gap between useful weapons and not useful weapons, I think you should look into how to balance these weapons compared to buffing all of these weapons. Which task is harder and which task is easier? I feel like putting the burden on buffing all of these to make them come over here instead of over there is incredibly difficult, and you're gonna get a lot more headaches from doing that than just getting these back to where they should be. No? I think that's a pretty interesting way of looking at it, because the only reason I'm ranting for this long about this subject is because I am really tired of the weapon sandbox. I feel like I won't be able to compete, I won't be able to do anything unless I'm using this, this, or this. That's the sandbox we're in. Of course, you have weapons like 120s, like Igneous Hammer, which is still incredibly strong, but I feel like if you don't run a longer range weapon, you won't be able to compete. Because let's say you're using an SMG, you're gonna get slugged, fusion, or pelleted by some monkey with prismatic, or you're gonna never be able to engage in a primary fight because they're just sitting in spawn. And I know a lot about that. Everyone seems to be running with their solar warlock, snapping across the map and just trying to take as much distance as possible with their pulse rifles. It makes it kind of unenjoyable if everyone's just gonna run from you because you're using a weapon that isn't meta. Of course, it makes sense, they're winning and I'm not, so they're playing more optimally than I am, but I like to enjoy weapons over playing the same most boring weapons in the game. If I really wanted to, I could run these weapons only. I used to main, no time to explain, Solar Warlock, and nothing about that loadout has changed for the last 4 years. It's still as insanely good as it's ever been, maybe even better now than it used to be, and it's probably the easiest loadout in the game to play. Now, you can change no time to explain with any other pulse rifle slash 120, but I think that should be a pretty good way of explaining it. But if you disagree with me in any way possible, please. I just love faster metas where people move around a little bit more instead of sitting all the way back constantly. Now, this is not just weapon choice, and this is also something about abilities. Now, we will come back to that later because I'm pretty sure there is ability changes in this sandbox. So here already, while the meta has moved away from close range engagement, I wonder why, Bungie. Maybe because you probably killed them. One more thing before I move on. I think the reason people moved away from it is because the weapon that used to kill at 0.6 time to kill no longer does, and the weapon that kills in 0.6 time to kill still do, and has done while the meta was there. I actually want to pull up something, because this is going to be super interesting to look at. If you go in Trials Report and look throughout the meta, one weapon that has been creeping the entire time SMGs were meta, and I know you're not going to believe this, is pulse rifles. No time to explain has always been on the list during the quote-unquote SMG meta. I call it Void Overshield Sniper meta, personally, but you need to understand what I'm saying. I genuinely don't enjoy playing PvP anymore. If you're wondering how my last few games have gone, I'll actually show it because I don't really care, man. So I'm just gonna show it anyway. So this person right here is me. I'm playing at a 1.13 this week. And my last few games look something like this. I've been playing the same 5 teams over and over and over, and they're all using pulse rifles and etc. And trying to stick with SMGs is incredibly annoying, even though it works a lot of the time. Most of the time, it doesn't. I'm just gonna lose because they're sitting back, playing to win, which is completely fine, that's how you're supposed to play, but it just feels like you can't compete unless you change to the meta. Of course, this is why it is the meta, most efficient loadout, but still, it's frustrating for someone who tries to dedicate to a playstyle. Also, I mainly used the fusion for the video I posted yesterday, and it's pretty good. It should really be obvious to Bungie why this is the case, instead of questioning, sitting there like a monkey looking at a screen, not knowing what's going on, trying to understand how to play Minecraft for the first time. Like, huh? The lack of competition among medium long-range primary options outside pulse rifles. I would say no. I think 120s are incredibly strong. Bows are definitely not the best. They could have been in a better spot, but I think that also is a problem with pulse rifle being so incredibly strong. I think 120s are in a perfect spot. They don't need a buff. Maybe what they should do instead is look at perks like Precision Instrument, Head Seeker, Target Lock, Box Breathing, and look at these perks, High Ground, and look at these perks that give you buffs for practically just shooting someone, and maybe changing that to not work in PvP, or change it up so you actually have to do something more than just hit someone in the body, then twice in the head, boom, body headshot, headshot, there you go for your 120. Sure, I understand, if 120s don't do that, then they won't be able to compete with 140s, but that's where you play the range. That's why they have the range advantage, because they shoot slower, but they kill further. 140s shoot faster, but they have less range. And this is where I don't understand the balancing between auto rifles and SMGs, being auto rifles kill faster, but have more range. SMGs kill slower, but have less range. The only primary in the game currently that beats out pulse rifles in the sandbox are sidearms. Right now, if I wanted to beat an SMG player, I would swap to a sidearm, or a pulse rifle. Either play super far, or super close. And another problem with playing close range in the current sandbox is that every primary in the game has currently a perk called Closing Time. If you use the new shotguns, which there are 3 of by the way, Precision Frame, Best Frame Shotgun, max handling, max range, with a 0.8 scaler extending past the max handling for a weapon, you currently have OG Quick Draw on all your guns, as long as you don't pick up 2 bullets, I suppose. And by the way, for anyone who farmed out the current Garden of Salvation shotgun, you kind of wasted your time, because tomorrow, or today I suppose, whenever the video comes live, that gun will be in the fucking garbage can, because the new weapon that comes out, Scavenger's Fate, is the same gun but better. This one has Lone Wolf and Closing Time. So they finally show, we can't actually see the enhanced version of this, it just has stronger effect. But it gives you a 0.8 handling, 50 handling, and 20 range, meaning I sit at 80 range, I sit at 87 handling, just from having Closing Time active. Meaning, literally all I would need to do is boom, boom, boom. And now, since I enhance it, I get +2, meaning I'm 99 handling, 100 range, at all times, as long as I don't pick up 2 bullets, which usually is not that big of a deal if you play Trials. And the reason I'm bringing this up so much is because Trials is by far the most and iconic playlist in the game, and it's currently rotting. It's been rotting ever since this DLC has dropped, and everyone knows this. This is no secret, or no one's trying to hide the fact that it is. But that's because the meta is horrible. No one is enjoying this, and I yet haven't seen a positive review over how the sandbox feels. If not, I see more complaining now, less activeness in the playlist, and etc. I'm kind of sorry if this is a very being like, wah, this game sucks, wah, this game sucks, but let's be fucking real, bro, this game fucking sucks. Oh, man. I just want to have a little bit of spirit left, man, so just keep listening to me. But yeah, no, close range weapons literally can't compete in a sandbox like this. Now we go into the other issues a lot of close range weapons have to deal with more than longer range weapons, and this will be abilities. Now, there is a line right here. It has become clear that prismatic subclasses allowed combinatorics, what the fuck? I don't even know what that word means, are problematic for Crucible in a way that we cannot easily solve it with spot tuning. While we want to keep power fantasy for PvE, in PvP, the dominance is concerning and needs more labor-intensive fix than we can provide inside of a mid-season patch. As such, we've made the decision to give all prismatic subclasses a blank 15% additional ability cooldown penalty inside of Crucible, which should help to offset the current king-making strength of these subclasses and provide some reason to run the base sub-abilities on standard subclasses. This penalty stack on top of the current overall PvP ability cooldown penalty of 50%. Dude, this is not gonna do anything. Let's be real here. A 15% nerf to prismatic will change it all. No, for context, really, you think a warlock with 4 melees are gonna fucking care about a 15% cooldown? No! No, they're not. Or what about Titan's knockout ability that makes diamond lances out of its fucking ass? No, it will not care. Or what about hunters dodging in PvP and then get smokes and also slow you plus making clones? It's not going to change anything. Absolutely nothing. The current balance of prismatic compared to other subclasses is fucking ridiculous, and it's why they don't work. The best solution, and honestly only solution I see, would be to disable the fucking things, because then you won't have to worry about the class abilities being unbelievably fucking broken with unbelievably fucking broken subclass setups. I think that's pretty clear. I think having... When did the final shape come out? Let's see here. July 4th? 4th of July? 4th of July? What day is it today? What day is... Hey Google, what day is it today? It's currently November 19th. November 19th. Let's go back here. So that would be... Wow. 1, 2, 3, 4... Almost 5 months. Whoa. I think 5 months should tell us pretty good how fucking awful this sandbox is. 5 months have only proven that Prismatic is fucked and has made PvP to the hell place it is right now. And if you want to play with anything where you engage in a gunfight slightly, good luck, because you're gonna get util dumped out of the fucking ass. And I think a lot of people have realized that and just kind of be like, yeah, I'm gonna pass, which I can't blame them for. I think that's completely fair. And then the supers haven't really been my biggest issue because I play mainly trials. Of course, you've seen some Storm's Edge goofy moments and some around the corner type shit with the Titan super, whatever that might be, but that's not going to change because they're still on Arc and Void. Even with the cooldowns increase, Storm's Edge still feels like too much of a win button with little to no counterplay. Well, maybe because you gave it so much fucking DR. Even for a super, as such, we have reduced the damage resistance during cast and reduced the height of the damage impulse, so that will be easier to fight back against while still retaining its upfront strength. Well, if you gave a T-Crash 3 of them, before you even chose to nerf them, I think we would understand how that feel. Imagine if some motherfucker T-crashes you, flies up again, T-crashes someone else, and flies up and T-crashes someone else. Wouldn't that be fucking awesome? Well, good, yeah, because we have it right now. Well, speaking about something I talked about in the beginning, Knucklehead fucking Radar. This exotic ability provides information to players without requiring to engage in combat and giving that information for as long as it does, has contributed a bit too much to strength for a longer range meta option. Well, really? So, change how to active the perk now requires the wearer to damage a player to mark the target. The target marked is for 3 seconds, down from 7 seconds. Now, from my understanding, this perk does not have any cooldowns, meaning as soon as the 3 seconds go out, you can mark someone else. Meaning, all I need to do is shoot someone, which I can choose now who I want to mark, kill that person because I've walls on him for 3 seconds, then shoot someone else, now I walls on that guy, and I will be able to counter wherever he's going to push, and I will know where he's going unless you play super slow. I don't think, sure, the reduction on the timer is incredibly good. I think that's a good thing. But being able to choose who I want to have walls on now, I think that's better. I honestly think that's better. Before it was like you peek and that was a gamble if all 3 are there. Now, I choose who the fuck I want to kill. Yeah. Alright. So that's an interesting change. Weapon archetypes, bows. When we made the changes to the weapon sandbox to generally make primary weapons less forgiving, bows were one of the first large outliners that we had to tune down. Well, maybe because you never had to hit a headshot ever with a bow if you used precisions, and the best bow in the game had wall hacks. I wonder why they were oppressive. We hit them hard and have been gradually walking them back to place where it feels like they can compete in the right hands without being oppressive at long ranges. Well, so I've felt this firsthand with kinetic tremors. Some motherfucker peeked me, hit me, went behind the corner, peeked me again, and I was dead. So they didn't hit a headshot from what I understood, but apparently you have to hit one head, one body, which, you know, is okay. I'm not going to say they're broken because I haven't felt more than one person killing me with it. But it's still crazy how I just got shit on because he peeked me twice and I couldn't even shoot him once with my stupid fucking SMG. Now, that's of course my bad for ego challenging a bow with an SMG when he clearly has the advantage with corners. But still, I don't really care if they increase the body shot damage, but I think some bows will be able to double body now. I think. Don't quote me on that one though, but if that happens, I think we're back to the same problem as we had before. Because if you have watched the video called I'm Retiring After This One, I used bows for a week and I essentially got like 1,000 kills on it, and it was pretty fucking strong. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a biggest fan of bows because you can just sit in the back with them, but that's most weapons though. Now we have hand cannons. We have been hesitant to allow aggressive hand cannons to kill in 2 crits and 1 body shot natively in PvP, while Igneous Hammer remained one of the most effective weapons. Okay, so you say that, but let's look at the last line of 120s we have gotten, just so you understand. Igneous Hammer has keep away precision instrument, so allows you to 1 head, 2 body. Then we have Criminal's Dagger, same thing, but with Slideways, which is an insane perk, by the way, and I would recommend you to try it, which also allows you to 2 head, 1 body. Now, let's look at the other ones. The new seasonal fucking handkin, I don't know how to pronounce its name. Oh, it also has keep away, precision instrument. What? That allows you to 2 crit, 1 body. And then we have, something new. Elemental Capacitor and Precision Instrument allows you to 2 hit 1 body. So essentially, you are fucking liars. You've basically wanted them to be that, but you just didn't want older ones to do that until now, because they increased it by 3%, allowing it to kill at all resells and 2 crits, 1 body, which is whatever. But the addition of new mods on weapons can be enhanced has severed to narrow that gap. Okay, so there you go. Between it and all other options like Criminal's Dagger and something new, in addition, we have more options than just high impact pulse rifles that are unusable in the 35 to 40 meter range of engagement. So it makes sense to bring the 120 subfamily up to compete. This has been paired alongside a minor stat nerf to Igneous to prevent it from immediately becoming the top dog again. And we will continue to evaluate its place in the meta after these changes. Okay, so what are the changes? Reduced stability, handling, and aim assist by 3. No! What will I do? Fuck! Fuck, no! Igneous will become unusable now, guys! They ruined it! They ruined it! At least I can 2 crit 1 body with my old one. So yeah, they basically just made this thing meta again. My OG one. I'm so sad I will get 3 less, man. What am I ever gonna do? What am I ever gonna do? 55 stability, 47 handling, and 66 aim assist? How will I compete to other handcans? I don't get it, man. I don't. Better Devils is a classic weapon with a host of interesting perk combination, but the lower stat based have left it out in the cold even with the new mod additions. We have decided to guys, Better Devils just robbed Igneous Hammer, guys. What will we ever do? Alright. Yesterday's question corrected an issue where Headseeker were not appropriately increasing critical damage after dealing body shot damage. Wow. Machine guns! The best machine guns! The best heavy in the game! Adaptive machine guns have been the heavy weapon meta for as much of the last episode and a half, probably because you get 15 fucking kills with 1 brick. But they have been prospered. But while they have prospered, other subfamilies have floundered. Bro, just say they became shit, bro. Just say they can't compete. Why did they have to be so formal for no reason, man? I need someone like me to write these things. I will say like, this company is stupid as hell, bro. Why the hell did they do this? Well, now we're nerfing it anyway. But change the scaler that determines how much you can pick up from a crate. So magazine of 50 or less gives you 21 rounds. That's a lot of ammo still. Let's see how much my hammerhead currently gets from picking it up. So my hammerhead, I mean, okay. Let's see here. Hammerhead. I'm actually curious here, because if I go extended mag, that would be 70. What the fuck? All right, extended mag, and then I got this 70. What? This don't make no sense. I guess it's capped at 75. All right, man. That's cool. I didn't actually know that. Well, okay, so I guess you will only get 26 and 27 rounds, guys. How in Fortnite? High ground. All told, high ground offers too much damage buff to be triggered on such a low barrier. For now, we have reduced the stacks that are given for dealing damage on primary weapons, specifically against players, down to 1 from 3. This should make the damage boost significantly less powerful in PvP. If this change is not enough, we will address it again in the future release, either by requiring a great height differential which cannot be easily triggered in PvP, or by reducing the damage bonus against players as a whole. Dealing damage to a player with a primary weapon now only grants a single stack of the damage buff. Dealing damage with special weapons or against combatants continues to grant max stacks. Now, I just want to say, ×1 for high ground is a 10%. So it would essentially be the same as ×1 desperate measures, which, by the way, doesn't change a fucking thing. Sorry. Now we have exotics. As you might expect, Telesto has a lot of custom tuning going on under the hood, and we did the all-up fusion rifle tuning in Revenant, and it was unfortunately missed in the kerfuffle. What a fucking odd word. Corrected an issue where Telesto was doing less damage in PvP. And then Ariana's Vow fixed a critical damage bug in PvP, and Luminant Thorn increased stability. Alright, that's the sandbox tuning. Well, I think Bungie, if you like looked into what people were complaining about the most, and if people are enjoying it or not, you should keep it up. But I just wonder how the fuck the game fell off this hard. Well, maybe from stupid decision makings from the PvE team to force things on the PvP team, like Prismatic, because that's a great fucking idea. Yeah, give everyone fucking infinite abilities. Make everything mayhem. We had a great fucking start with March 5th. I'm not gonna lie, I actually had pretty good hopes too, because the sandbox felt pretty nice. I felt like I could compete with mostly any primaries. Now, even though a lot of things have changed since then, I feel like just the unnecessary buffs, for example, they buffed 340s when the final shape came out, and I think they buffed them again this season. Don't quote me on that one though. And I didn't see a reason for that to happen when LC's was already one of the best weapons in the game. I think if there's one outlier, because there is incredibly good pulse rifles, the 2-burst feels incredibly powerful now, maybe even a little bit too powerful. Just decrease the RPM a little bit compared to what it is now, and I think they would be fine. But the fact that they have like 9,000 meter of range and they just don't fucking, they hit like a truck now, is a little bit crazy. Like, nerf it down to like 310, like, I don't know, 300, like, I don't know what it used to be, but just tune it slightly to make them feel like they don't hit like trucks, and like reduce the time to kill on 340s a little bit. Just a small amount. Like if it killed in a point eight or a 0.76, I would be fine. If it was like a burst, 3 burst, or a burst, 2 burst and a half, it would be fine too. Maybe even try a playlist where passive damage buffs shouldn't be allowed. Give us like a optional sandbox, like a playtesting thing, where we can play a playlist where Prismatic is disabled, for example. You can only play one of each class, and things that shouldn't give you free damage doesn't give you free damage. I honestly think Bungie should make me the lead of the sandbox. I'm so sorry for being cringe, bro. Oh, this video is 47 minutes long, bro. Yeah. Yeah. Look, cats. Well, I am incredibly sorry. The only reason I made this video so fucking long is because I don't really look forward to the next patch. I don't think anything is gonna change, and I don't think anything is gonna matter for how it turns out. Sure, maybe next episode, things will start to look a little bit brighter, which is what they're indicating, that they're tuning more things, but I don't like the mentality of make everything as good as the most broken weapon in the game. I strongly disagree with that, mainly because everything feels so power crept already, from at least the top tier. I feel like SMGs can be used at certain things, but if any other primary shoots at you, you will most likely not compete. Sidearms basically have the same range as an SMG, let's be real here. And the only, like, if you made all SMGs have a 0.67 time to kill, I think the meta would look very different. I think they would feel a lot better. And sure, dude, fucking remove its stability. Make them feel unusable. But give them a crazy time to kill. Look at that one. Like, this thing has like a point... Let's see here. Unending Tempest. Time to kill. 0.8. So they killed 0.8 now instead of 0.67 or 0.7, which target lock used to be. Yeah, so if they're under tier 6, it still actually do the thing it used to do, but you're punished way more for missing a bullet compared to what you used to. So you're not as forgiven as what it was. But this is what time to kill used to be, and for the other ones, it's a 0.67, which it still is for lightweights, and it's not for 720s. And like, I want to mention another thing about like a big problem with a lot of frames, and especially comes to the 720 family tree. And, you know, okay, as 7.5, which doesn't really change anything, but a 0.67 when they're tier 6 or under. So right now, target lock is more or less result gated for being optimal, but you do get punished for missing now compared to what you used to. But the problem with the 720 subtree is the fact that they don't have any stability if you want to optimize on range. And then you have precision tree, which punishes you on handling for going for optimal range. And optimal range is very important on SMGs. You literally can't compete with bad range, and that's what SMGs are known for. If they don't have range, they're not worth it. And another factor that's kind of been, you know, like bumming me out a little bit is the fact that Bungie keeps reducing range or zoom on SMGs, which makes them way better at longer ranges and makes them feel like they can compete with 140s, for example, which I understand why you wouldn't want, but that's at least how it feels for me. I love SMGs. They're the best feeling weapons and the most fun. It allows me to play fast and aggressive constantly. I play Behemoth, as many people know, and I like to move around a lot. I like to constantly be moving. It's like an addiction type shit. So if I want to win and Behemoth SMG is not going well, I will just move to Solar Warlock with a 120 or a 340. And usually that does the deal. Usually. Or if I really want to win, I will go Invis Hunter, and then I'm pissed. Since that's probably the most ratty loadout you can currently play, in my opinion. So, I just mentioned 3 great subclasses that isn't Prismatic, but the problem is, all these 3 gets outshadowed by Prismatic. Maybe not Solar Warlock, but Void Hunter, you can just throw spam smokes everywhere if you're on Prismatic. So, you know, there's that, but you can't go invisible. Unless you're on Gear Falcons, I think. And then you have Stasis Titan, you lose the slide, but you can keep the rest of the movement. So you still have your Glacial Grenade, you still have your Shiver Strike, and you also get thrusters, which might actually be better with Alpha Loopy, which heals you and your allies. Alpha Loopy is fucking broken, by the way. And on top of that, you just make diamond lenses for punching people, which, you know, makes it unreal. Also, this is a personal thing. For being the only proper behemoth main in the game, it's a lie. But one thing I want to say, can you guys reduce the tracking on Shiver Strike a little bit? Like, I understand you wanted to make it easier to use on controllers or whatever the thing was, but like, it whiffs now. The problem about the melee is that it whiffs now, and I don't know what they did to the coding of the melee. I understand they added the second explosion, but I have felt the incredible increase of the melee just doing no damage. You hit them, and they fly away, this stasis explosion happens, you lose your melee, but they just don't take any damage. And I honestly want to know how this happened. This wasn't a problem beforehand. So can you guys just turn the melee back to what it used to be? I think that was way better. It was a way more consistent and more enjoyable to use. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video of me crying about this game. I just want the more relaxed sandbox again, where I don't have to worry about getting util dumped by a prismatic class every 10 seconds, or a solar lock just saps getting across the universe, or people just playing in the back of the map with pulse rifles, and if you ever choose to get up close, you get fucking railed by their specials. Another perks they should look into, just as of right now, is closing time on special weapons. Give it like an under pressure treatment, because this is insane. Let's be real. Just on specials. Only on specials. I don't really care if they nerf, like, if it stays the same on primaries. But please look at it on special weapons, because this is fucking insane. Don't you think? Anyway, I love all of you, and thank you for listening to my emotional roller coaster of events over the last few weeks, months.